Good afternoon. I'm Creeson Agecoutay. Welcome to APTN National News. It has been 3 years since 215 anomalies were discovered at a former residential school in Kamloops, BC. APTN's Tina House takes a look back at what's happened since that horrific discovery and how it woke up the country.
On May 27, 2021, Kamloops announced they had discovered 215 anomalies suspected to be unmarked graves. That news shocked the world, and this impromptu memorial was started outside of the former Kamloops Indian Residential School. Visitors from around the world descended upon Kamloops to come pay their respects. Many of them also residential school survivors who had their own horrific tales of how they barely survived. In June of 2021, we met up with the late Stanley Paul Sr. In 1957, he was forced to attend the residential school in Kamloops. For Stanley, he along with thousands of others who were forced to attend these houses of horror, the physical, mental, and sexual abuse they endured has left deep imprints of trauma that has never really healed, despite the years that have gone by.
Were you surprised when you heard the news about the discovery here?
I knew this long time. I knew this long. I know that way back. I know what it is.
Did you think you had maybe some friends that were part of the ones that were found?
Yeah, right over here. By the school over here, there's a couple of girls over here. I know, and I knew them. My nieces, my cousins, died over here, and that's where you used to have them apples right over here a long time ago. I remember that.
Grand Chief Stuart Phillips says what happened in Kamloops inspired other nations from across Canada to start their own searches.
We went from the discovery of 215 unmarked graves at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School site to thousands of unmarked graves right across the country. And that continues. At this point in time, more and more First Nations are organizing themselves to investigate the sites where there are residential schools in their territories.
And for Kamloops to Sewepum, it's been 3 years since the discovery, and they released this statement. While the number 215 has become a symbol of the children lost at the Kamloops Indian Residential School, it's important to recognize that it represents far more than a numerical figure. It stands for the countless spirits of children who never had the chance to return home from residential schools from all across Canada. Grand Chief says there is much more work to be done.
I'm proud of the resilience of our people, that in spite of this horrific genocidal reality, First Nations people across this country are continuing to progress.
Kamloops to Sewepum have yet to release further details about when excavation will take place to identify the anomalies discovered. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
To have equal quality health care like the rest of Canada. That is the reason why delegates from the Winnebago Area Health Authority are in Ottawa this week. They want the federal government to live up to a promise it made in 2007 to fund a new hospital in Moosonee, Ontario. Annette Francis has the story.
Members of the Winnebago Area Health Authority, or WAHA, were supported by First Nations leaders as they spoke with media at the Assembly of First Nations head office. Lynn Innes is the president and CEO of WAHA. She said the 75-year-old Winnebago General Hospital has long surpassed its intended lifespan.
They made a commitment. They need to fulfill it. We've been a good partner. The the provincial ministry has been a good partner. So the feds need to show up and fulfill their commitment.
In 2007, the federal government signed a framework agreement to fund 45% to build a new health campus, including a new hospital on Moose Factory Island. The projected amount required from Ottawa is over $1 billion. Dr. Elaine Ennis said the hospital serves 5 coastal communities on James Bay, but it struggles with providing specialty services.
We can no longer provide obstetrical care because we don't have the health human resources, which means that the furthest community, which is Peawanuck, they have to leave their community and fly all the way to Kingston so that they can have a baby. You know, this service should be available in our own hospital, in our own community.
Chief Peter Wesley of Moose Cree First Nation says Canada has an obligation to the First Nations of Treaty 9.
You have my formal invitation as Chief of Moose Cree to come to Moose Factory and see this hospital and the deplorable condition that it's in. It simply cannot stay as this going forward. This would not be tolerated in any other urban community. This would not be tolerated in Ottawa.
APTN contacted Indigenous Services Canada for comment, but did not receive a response by airtime. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Ottawa.
The Métis Nation of Saskatchewan has launched a new treaty document that will set the stage for self-governments. The document is called Kishi Mashinahigan Ushi Michif, which translates to the sacred document of the Métis. The new modern treaty obligates Canada to recognize the MNS as government and protects its rights to make decisions that cannot be overruled by the federal government, regardless of a change in political power. MNS President Glenn McCollum said the document is 150 years in the making. We are one very important step closer to fully realizing our inherent right to self-government, McCollum said. The sacred document guarantees stable funding for MNS and paves the way for self-jurisdiction over healthcare, family services, and education.
And so we're excited. This is our moment as a community. This is our moment for our citizens. This is our moment for our children and our grandchildren and our future grandchildren.
The Whitecap Dakota First Nation in Saskatchewan is once again taking a huge leap forward, this time in healthcare for rural and Indigenous communities. They recently unveiled a new facility that will make the First Nation as a global innovator. Keenan Sorokin has the story.
Rural and northern communities facing 8-hour or longer drives for routine trips to the doctor will soon be a thing of the past. Being called the first of its kind in the country, the virtual health hub at Whitecap is looking to change healthcare in Canada.
And Saskatchewan's going to be that leader, and again, it'll be a national leader, but this will go nationally and eventually it's going to go globally.
A team at the NASA-style command center will be able to assess a patient hundreds of kilometers away with chest pain and determine if he requires medication or needs to be triaged. The hub will start by assisting 30 and eventually up to 90 communities across the province, which will not only save millions of dollars in travel costs, but could eventually evolve into people being cared for without having to leave home.
Where you will be able to actually have a device that will be able to monitor all your vital signs. It will be able to be sent to the hub.
Dr. Ivar Mendez, who is recognized internationally for his work in robotics and telehealth care, will lead the hub after spending 10 years to make Thursday's announcement a reality. The hub will partner with the Saskatchewan Indian Institute of Technology to train students in batches and have the program be Indigenous-led.
The philosophy of the whole team has been, how do we use state-of-the-art technology for the people that have the least and need the most?
The hub will help overburdened hospitals, clinics, and emergency rooms in what the health minister called the next frontier in healthcare.
Peeling back really the layers of, what healthcare ideology has been in how those services are delivered, and looking at it as from truly a patient's perspective.
Construction is expected to begin later this year, with the Health Hub opening in 2026, which coincides with the 150th anniversary of the signing of Treaty 6. Keenan Sorokin, CTV News, Whitecap, Dakota First Nation.
We have to take a 3-minute break, but when we return, T.R. Wheatley will take us to a unique Indigenous kitchen in Winnipeg. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Unearthing a piece of Indigenous history. That's what 24 university archaeology students are doing at Nose Hill Park in Calgary as they dig deeper into Blackfoot history. The group is finding belongings that could be hundreds or even thousands of years old in a part of the city that was home to Indigenous people for generations before contact with European settlers. CTV's Tyson Fedor reports.
These are the views accustomed to many Calgarians from Nose Hill Park, the city's skyline to the south and the Rockies to the west, but atop this hill is a piece of history.
The thing about here is actually that the site could be 100 years old, it could be 8,000 years old.
22 University of Calgary students and staff are excavating a piece of land where an Indigenous stone circle can be found. The rocks have been trampled on for years, with the city trying to redirect hikers and bikers away from the site since 2006 on a footpath.
You see over here, the city has tried to has rerouted the path as it goes around the site, this part of the site, but folks are still walking along the break-in slope, completely unknowingly impacting something that's already here.
In 2 weeks, the group has found bone fragments, a stone hammer, and shell cases that would have been used to make beads.
Nose Hill itself is a glacial remnant landform, right? So it's one of the oldest landforms in the Calgary area.
Anytime you see remnants of past lives, it gives the public an opportunity to connect.
The stone circle is one of about a dozen in the area. However, this one is in need of protecting. The city plans to erect signs in the future to recognize the past.
For most people, they're familiar with like a teepee, holding down the outside hide with rocks. Now, if you are a mobile hunter-gatherer society, you're not going to be taking those heavy rocks with you to the next location.
For first-year archaeology student Miranda Betterton, she says the experience has been eye-opening.
And you can see the stories in the landscape. So like Old Woman's buffalo jump is cut in half, and that's from Noppy hitting it with a stick, and just seeing how the Blackfoot have been connected to this land for thousands of years. And it's something really cool, and it's something I'm very honored to be part of.
Students plan to continue digging to comprehend a little bit more how the Blackfoot people lived. Tyson Fedor, CTV News, Calgary.
A food truck in Winnipeg is gaining popularity this summer after a couple of viral TikTok videos showing a menu filled with bannock dishes. And word on the street is their bannock is made just like Cookums. TR Wheatley takes us to the Indigenous kitchen.
My stomach's rumbling already. Hi.
Hi.
I'm TR Wheatley.
Tara.
I heard I had to come check it out here. So tell me, what's your most popular dish?
We have our most popular would be the classic bannock taco.
You recommend it?
If you have a big appetite.
What about something smaller? It's lunchtime.
Let's do the bannock chicken burger.
Okay.
Anine, I'm Tara Hall. I'm the owner of the Indigenous Kitchen food truck here in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
A bannock burger.
Which bannock burger would you like?
Give me the loaded one.
The loaded cheese?
Yeah, the loaded cheese, yeah.
Anything to drink? Come get your bannock on with us here at the Indigenous Kitchen.
Okay.
My husband Corey, I have my son Skylar is on there, and my daughter Haley, she started this year, so she's second. I have my daughter Trisha, she was 4 years running, but not this year. My son Kyle started last year, he won't be returning this year. He's actually graduating from high school this year, so his main focus is that and going on to fashion, so he's gonna stay with that.
So, Tara, tell me a little bit about your kitchen. When did you start this?
I started in 2019 and added a bunch of things that I would like to represent, like my home and Every Child Matters, LGBTQ and Pride.
So you started during COVID?
Yes, I launched during COVID. Originally I had a schedule full of dates and places and events, and then COVID hit and it was zero, a big fat zero of where I was gonna go. I was like, took on everything was invested in the truck. I was like, where am I gonna go? And just happened to be going to Wholesale Club, and they had a flyer inviting food trucks to come to the lot. If it wasn't for them during COVID and my church I probably would have failed. I would have lost everything.
But I've seen your videos on TikTok.
Yeah.
Do you think that's proving success?
Yeah, the TikTok videos. And my daughter was like, Mom, get on TikTok. And I'm like, no, I'm too shy for that. They're like, Mom, just make little videos of your truck and the bannock. And she's like, people are going to like it. So I was like, okay, so I just joined TikTok. But all of a sudden I'm getting 10,000 likes on some of my bannock videos.
And your big niche here, your niche, the bannock. Let's talk about your bannock.
Yeah. Pan-fried, original, there's no yeast, there's no eggs because there's allergies. So I got a lot of customers that can't have eggs, can't have dairy. And my bannock is just flour, baking powder, water, and canola oil with these two hands.
And your magic hands.
And my magic hands, yes. I try not to cross-contaminate with anything like nuts and wise just because of allergies and health.
Yeah, and you mentioned a lot of people are buying your food, you know, Indigenous people, but others as well, right?
Everybody, yeah. I get a lot of Asian people, Filipinos. They love bannock, so they come out and they find my truck, and I'm very surprised.
Yeah, and then let's talk a little bit about your stickers. You mentioned them briefly, but I mean, Every Child Matters, MMIWG, important in our community, get awareness, important in your heart, obviously.
Yeah. I put them on there so people know this is what I represent, and because of it, I actually had people reach out to me because they were behind my truck and they said, oh, you support Every Child Matters? Can you do an event for us? As well as Pride, they're like, we've seen your truck.
You know, I just want to thank you again today. I'm ready to go and eat this food.
Don't forget, come back to Indigenous Kitchen and get your bannock on with us.
Yum, yum. APTN will be leading the way once again. We'll tell you what it all means after a short break. Over on the East Coast, St. John's 13 with sun, Charlottetown 14 with clouds. Northern Quebec, Canujawac 0, La Grande River 9 with sun. Southern Quebec, Quebec City 19, Val-d'Or 12 with rain. Southern Ontario, Toronto 17, London with sun at 14. Northern Ontario, Wawa 13 with cloud, Thunder Bay 14 with sun. Northern Manitoba, Churchill 1, Thompson 3 with sun. Southern Manitoba, Princess Harbour 7, Gimli 8 with sun. Southern Saskatchewan, Yorkton 6, Swift Current 11. Northern Saskatchewan, Stony Rapids 9, La Ronge 10. Northern Alberta, Peace River 5, Grand Prairie 6 with some cloud. Red Deer 12, Calgary 11. Over on the west coast, Kamloops 11, Vancouver 11 as well with sun. Northern BC, Smithers 3, Dease Lake -2. In the Yukon, Old Crow 5, Watson Lake 2. Northwest Territories, Yellowknife 12, Norman Wells 10. Inuvik 5, Colville Lake 9. Baker Lake 1, Cambridge Bay 0 with some sun. Igloolik -3, Arctic Bay -1. Some areas across the country received some interesting weather this weekend, including a late spring snow. For our first APTN News Weather Spotlight, our Wilfred Moore sent in this weather report while out fishing in Wonnemin Lake, Ontario.
Hi, I'm Wilfred Moore, coming to you from Wonnemin Lake, Ontario. I'm originally from Hollow Water. I'm here for the weekend, and as you can see in the background, it is a gloomy, cloudy sky. It is only 4 degrees outside. We just flew over Kingfisher Lake not too long ago, and it had some snow there, so it's still snowing up here in the north in some places. Other than that, it's a good day for fishing.
We want a fish fry later there, Wilfred. Thank you. He makes it look so easy. If you want to be featured as our next Weather Spotlight report, visit aptnnews.ca/weather spotlight to submit your video. We'd love to put you on TV. There are some big changes on the horizon on how you can watch APTN content. Coming later this summer, APTN News channel is changing from our current 4-channel format to a 2-channel format, APTN and APTN Languages. It was recently approved by the CRTC. To tell us more is the CEO of APTN, Monica Ile. Thank you for joining us today, Monica. There's some exciting changes coming in how you watch APTN. Can you tell us about it?
Oh, certainly. Well, APTN presently, we broadcast on 4 feeds, and we've decided to move to 2 feeds. So you'll have 1 feed that's going to broadcast in English and French, and 1 feed dedicated to Indigenous languages.
Why the changes from 4 channels to 2 channels? It sounds like a reduction in services. Is that the case?
Oh, completely the opposite. There's going to be more services. So by focusing our programming, especially the Indigenous languages, on 1 feed, that feed is going to be mandatory carriage. So anybody in Canada who has cable will have APTN languages, and they'll be broadcast from coast to coast to coast, and where we put all our Indigenous language programming, and where we could create bulks of Indigenous languages. So let's say languages from the east, languages from the west, from the north, and from Central. So it'll be easier for us to broadcast and to promote those languages, and it'll be available all day. So were you in your community or if you're living in the city, you'll have access to Indigenous language programming. So it's more of, that's what we want to do, more Indigenous language programming. And by having the other feed dedicated to English and French, we'll be able to do more French programming as well. So it'll be easier to promote and to schedule. It'll streamline our process and how we do things at APTN.
Wow, that sounds great. What will the biggest change be, and when does it take place?
Well, the biggest change will be for us to make sure that people are aware of these 2 feeds, and this is starting September 1st. So it's very exciting for us, a bit nervous because there's so much to do, but we've got this, and we believe so much in this new way of broadcasting at APTN, and we're going to better serve Indigenous peoples by doing so.
This was a long process for yourself and others at APTN. Why was this so important for you and your team?
Yeah, we've been working on this for a few years now, and Indigenous media such as APTN, we play a very important role in promoting and preserving tradition, cultures, and languages. And when you lose your language, you lose a part of your identity. My mom's Abenaki, and the Abenaki language is on the verge of extinction, so it's very close to me, it's very dear to me to support those languages. And I feel that within my community, but all communities, people want to learn their language. There's this movement of revitalization and reclamation of our languages. And having languages available on a national network 24 hours a day, I think that will bring a significant change. And don't forget, we're in the decade of Indigenous languages, right? Created by the United Nations. So it's in this movement, and I think we need to take this opportunity where there's change happening to do more of these languages.
Will this also be an opportunity for freelance filmographers and documentarian people to submit language revitalization projects?
Exactly. We have schedules to fill in Indigenous languages, so we'll do a call out for more shows in Indigenous languages. So would it be documentary, children and youth and whatnot, we're going to need to have more. And that's why we have a 3-cent increase, and that 3-cent increase is going to help to do more Indigenous language programming.
I'm sure everybody watching that has ideas on how to help with their language and film are just, all these ideas are coming up right now. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, I would like to say, Tseolone, Miigwech, Nakurmik for the support that we received. So when APTN applied last summer, we received so many positive interventions, people supporting the concept, supporting the idea of an Indigenous language feed and moving APTN forward. So thank you for everybody for doing that. It really meant so much to us.
Monica, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule and talking to us about this great news for APTN.
Hey, my pleasure, anytime, anytime.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to stick around. We'll be back this afternoon. Thank you for watching.